Hey everyone, welcome to PHENOMSOUND. Wish you a very happy new year, the best of luck in this 2025, and let's start this year with a little sound design session. In today's video, we are going to take a look at how to make this detuned step, which sounds really ravey and can be heard in lots of cool songs on Blackout or Eat Brain and other big labels from big sick artists. And here's what I mean. This complete FL Studio project, all of the Serum presets and samples from it are available on my Patreon page, as well as tons of different content from my previous tutorials that's gonna help you to improve your music production quality. So make sure to check it out, I would really appreciate it. Also, I have 2 Serum preset packs available on my Patreon shop. One is available with a 30% discount, and you can find all of the previews in the description of this video. I bet you will love it. And here's how it sounds solo. Let's start from scratch and load the basic shapes on both oscillators. And on the first one, select a triangle, and on the second one is going to be a saw wave. Set the octave at 1 on both oscillators and raise the unison amount up to maximum on both oscillators. This is our foundation of this step, and now let's have a crazy detune on both, almost to the limit when it becomes sounding off key. I think 0.5 will do. Nice, let's also have a tiny fine detuning. Something like this. And on the second oscillator, set the semitone at 3. This is basically what's making this sound so techy or ravey, is this harmony. Awesome, now let's add some sub-bass. Let it be a saw wave, raise it all the way up, and keep the octave set to 0. Now let's add some noise, just set the level of this AC Hum 1 noise at around 80%. Let's add some filtering. I'm using flanger minus on this one. Enable the filtering of the B, noise and the sub-oscillators. Flanger minus filter is also a nice way to detune the sound. Sometimes I detune it just drastically. And we are going to automate this flanger minus cutoff knob to create this nice automated detuning effect. Let's use our first oscillator to actually automate it. Enable retriggering and set the rate to a half bar and make this kind of envelope. Drag it to the cutoff and set it at around 80. Now it's a bit more laserish. Set the resonance at around 15 or 20. And the cutoff at 30 or 35%. So this sounds quite plain and simple, while this one is a bit more interesting. And let's get to the effects tab and enable the hyper dimension. So the mix of the hyper at around 5%, size of the dimension at 5%, and mix of it at around 15. To add a bit more space to it. And then let's add a flanger, phaser, and a chorus. Set a mix of the flanger at around 60%, phaser at 40%, and the chorus at 40% as well. Set the chorus's depth at 2 milliseconds. This is also adding a bit more space and a bit more movement to the sound. And now let's compress it a bit using the multi-band compressor. Set the gain at 13 decibel. High frequency compression at 70. Mid at 120. And get rid of the low frequency compression. So it's a little bit more saturated now. Now let's add a bit of a delay. Set the left channel to be a triple half bar and the right channel at triplet. So we have nice little stereo movement on different rate speeds. And set the frequency of the delay at around 3500. Set the feedback at around 50% and the mix at 35. You can play with the frequency. For this kind of mix, I needed some 3K frequencies to fill the gaps in the space, but it also sounds quite okay with in this range between 1K and 3 or 4Ks. Yeah, so let's leave it like this. Then let's add some reverb with its type set to whole, with the size set at 35, decay at 4.7, which are the default values, and set the low cut at 35% and set the high cut at 70%. And set the mix at around 15 or 10%. Now let's enable the EQ and boost up some mid frequencies with a bit of automation. Set the frequency at 160 and drag the first LFO to it, set it at 50. Set again at 12 decibel. And finally, let's use a filter. We are going to be using the reverb filter. It's the one that I really like. It's also adding the detune to sounds and can be used to make them more punchy or laserish. So I'm setting the cutoff at 93 and automating it, setting it at around 20. Setting the drive at 60 and moving the mix all the way down to then automate it using the first LFO. So it's adding some transient to our sound, and here's the difference. We can also reduce the detune a bit. 0.45 or 0.40 will be okay. You can play with the cutoff to make it more punchy, or completely get rid of this filter. It's really all up to you, but it's also saturating the sound a bit, so I prefer it to keep my mid frequencies boosted up a bit. Now let's take a look at the post-processing of the sound. Here I have only OTT with the downwards compression set at 35, high frequency set at around -4 dB, mids at -3, and I'm getting rid of the low frequency compression. Then I'm making the sound a bit more clean by removing the sharpness and some mod and adding a flanger. It's a free melody production flanger with a preset called guitar middle, and it's set to 25%, so it's really subtle. And there you go. There's another variation of this sound. We just played 1 octave lower and with some more blurring using delay and stuff like that. Sounds really super techno-ish and really ravey. I love this type of drum and bass. So hope you will really find a nice use for this sound and will play with it. Hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. Like this video, leave a comment and subscribe to PHENOMSOUND to help our community to grow. We've doubled up our subscribers count from 3K to 6K within this 2024 year. And that's just crazy. We've got almost 200 views on all of my videos. So I will try to keep up. Lots of cool stuff is coming, lots of new music, so stay tuned. Join my Patreon, subscribe to my Instagram page, and we will see you in my next video. Bye!